Hi, it's Lymphoma blog number 2, 2020. And yesterday when I posted up, I noticed a friend of mine, Brian, we were talking about symptoms, and the blood cancers are often some of the hardest to diagnose. And in Brian's case, he said that he didn't even have any symptoms at all. In hindsight, he said he was a bit itchy, but it wouldn't have been anything that he would have put down to something as potentially life-threatening as a blood cancer. He was going to the hospital for something else, and that's, the lymphoma showed up at that point. The point of the blog is not to make you paranoid about all these little things, but just to make you vigilant. There's I think I've mentioned in previous blogs that there is what we might call healthy paranoia. And if something persists for a long time, then it's worth getting things sorted. In my case, the pain in my hip I assumed was arthritis. Everybody else assumed was arthritis, including a hip specialist, until my scan of my hip showed that there was something wrong with my bones. And at that point, they then thought I had secondary bone cancer without showing a primary, and that's when I floated around the NHS system for 6 weeks, thinking I was dying, or imminently about to. Anyway, it was a very, very scary time. And that brings me on to the diagnosis. I mean, when you get it, obviously, I'm of an age where the word cancer was often used synonymously with a sort of death knell ringing in the background. And so you can be forgiven, anybody can, for having a diagnosis like that and feeling completely panic stricken. And let's face it, some cancers we still know there's very little that they can do for them. I didn't have anybody with me when I was told originally about them wishing to, what's the words they use? We want to iron out the worst possible scenario. You don't want those words. And I remember stopping my car and ringing my sister and going down the phone. God knows what my poor sister must have done with that information. Horrible for her too. So after that, you are busy dealing with the diagnosis and then dealing with treatment. And I think you only synthesize everything that you have gone through much, much further down the process. The blogs began in 2013, so I didn't unfortunately put all of them on YouTube, so some of them are on Facebook. But if you scroll back to September 2013, and you can do that on Facebook, you'll see the blogs every year, and whether I've changed or whether I'm saying the same thing each time. But definitely in terms of processing information and coming out the other side and dealing with increased paranoia but less paranoia, you get two things going on at once. On the one hand, you're vigilant about, uh-oh, what's going on? I don't like the feel of this, or I've got a pain in my hip again. And on the other hand, you're kind of like, well, actually, I know my days are numbered, hopefully later rather than sooner. But that gives you a strange liberation that I didn't have before. It's kind of facing up to the fact that it doesn't go on forever, which is the eternal youthful perspective that most of us live with for a long time. Death happens to other people. When you sort of look it in the eye, as I had to, you become desensitized. Not that's the wrong word. You become less sensitive to the reality. Should we put it like that? So that's the way I kind of look at every day. And when we go further in the blog this week, because this is blog number 2, we'll look at the current situation and how that has impacted, particularly on people like me with blood cancers. And that may or may not interest you, and may be supportive for you. But as I've said before, if you want to talk about any of this with me, do feel free to message me or whatever. It's merely my way of saying, look after yourselves, and here I am, still alive, 7 years later, and hopefully going strong. So I'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.